Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at Yuffie's new Rebirth banner and share with you my opinion on it. Yuffie has Water Blade Arcanum, which increases Water Blade damage by 35% and then another 15 water potency points, which is honestly great to pair with other weapons because 15 points makes for a full ability level. And recently we started getting those outfits with Elemental Arcanum and additional elemental points, and I think they are very nice and versatile. Well, it currently doesn't affect Yuffie because she has no other water weapon. Some other characters have one physical and then one other magic weapon of the same element, and such outfits with elemental potency makes them very versatile for offensive DPS characters. And now Yuffie's banner weapon, and at OB10 120 it has 691 physical attack stat, and I think it's the first big PP DPS weapon with not only increased amount of points on one R ability, but also the first elemental weapon with no elemental potency at all. Boost physical attack with standard 46 points, and boost physical ability potency has now 52 points. It is interesting because until now we always had water potency on the bottom or ability or elemental potency. It is also quite irritating because Yuffie has 52 physical ability potency points, which is 3 points away from max level. Only 3 points. And it also has a Circle Sigil boost slot, and lastly the command ability deals 940% physical water damage to a single enemy, and it also applies the Exploit Weakness with 30% potency, and initially it starts with 20% potency, but at OB6 it upgrades into 30%. So the way I see it is we normally get those 940% DPS weapons with additional 1.2 damage under certain conditions requiring either the character being buffed or the enemy debuffed. I see this one as 940% with additional 1.3 additional damage after the first hit, after this Exploit Weakness is applied. And Tifa has her New Year's weapon with Exploit Weakness, and her weapon has 40% potency while Yuffie's is a little bit lower with 30%. But 30% is very nice in my opinion, as it's 2-in-1 on one weapon. However, is Yuffie stronger though? We can only compare her to Angeal or Glenn, who are the only ones with a physical Water Arcanum. Angeal is more defensive support DPS, and Glenn's Water Arcanum is 1 year old by now and is a little bit weaker with, you could say, only 900% damage. But he has Slay the Day, which debuffs physical defense and buffs his water potency, making Glenn a physical water god because his water potency buff is 40% damage increase, and mid physical defense debuff should be around 30%. So effectively, if Glenn's buffs and debuffs are applied, their damage should be rather pretty close. And I think Yuffie's new water gear is very nice for general use, but for some specific battles with those modifiers like the current dungeon ranking, where we can choose trans abilities that further increase a tier of buffs and debuffs, Glenn's physical defense debuff and especially this water buff can go even higher, further increasing his damage output. But those are very rare instances. I am, however, a bit surprised by the lack of water points on Yuffie's weapon, because we only have 15 points on the outfit, and that means you'll need 3 water sub-weapons to get her to that level 8 potency level with, I think it was 100% water damage boost, mainly because we currently don't have any weapons with increased water points, and all we have are weapons with 39 points per weapon, so 18 points when used as sub-weapon. But I guess it might be because Glenn has water potency on his both weapons, so if you use both Yuffie and Glenn, you would run out of good weapons to use on them. And also, the anniversary limit break banner with Bahamut, Cloud and Tifa is back if you would like to make some progress on their weapons. I won't review it again as weapons and outfits are unchanged, but I still find it not okay that Tifa's outfit is a bit better than Cloud's and Yuffie's by 5%. I was hoping that when they rerun those anniversary banners they might make them more equal, all having 10% damage increase. But yeah, those are very good versatile outfits and very nice weapons. Baha Clouds is very valid and very popular in random co-op and for a lot of other content, and Tifa's gear is amazing for magic teams as well. But the only thing I don't like are the stamp cards having very few banner copies. Only 3 guaranteed banner copies in 2 pages isn't a lot, especially on a double character banner. And in the past we had 2 guaranteed copies on page 3, or well, it was page 3 because EX pages have never had any guaranteed copies, but the page 3 was much better with 2 guaranteed ones, and here it's just 3 copies for the whole banner. We already had half anniversary rerun banner before 1 year anniversary, so I was expecting to see Bahamut banner or banners to reappear before the half anniversary, of course assuming half anniversary is happening. I would say I don't think the timing of this banner is the best, because we currently have Rebirth crossover with already 3 exclusive banners, and we just got our second and we'll get Barret next week, so with the shortage of crystals and the increased amount of limited banners, unless someone isn't interested in crossover banners, it will be hard to pull on so many limited banners. But then again, we have been getting so many of those limited banners, and the question is, when would be a better time for Bahamut rerun? I don't think January would have been a better time. But yeah, we have now Bahamut Cloud and Tifa, and this banner will be active for a while because it ends on March 12th. And since Aerith and Yuffie also have Bahamut gear, I'm curious if or when they will rerun a banner with the 2 of them. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it with either Barret's banner or shortly after. And also, I distinctly remember seeing something about half anniversary happening months ago, but I can't find it anymore, or any mention or confirmation that half anniversary is happening. But personally, I am assuming that we should get it just like last year. So I think Yuffie is definitely a good and very solid gear, but the question is it worth being a limited weapon? To be honest, I'm not so sure. It's also hard to compare, because the only other physical warrior weapons that we can compare with are also limited ones, with Glenn's half anniversary and Angeal limit break banner. And also another thing, Glenn and Angeal weapons are limit break and have physical attack for all allies on them, which substantially boosts the stat for the whole team. And to be honest, other than some good support weapons, most of those DPS weapons in limited banners now don't really feel any or much better to justify them being limited banners, and just feel like they could have been featured banners. I still remember how FF9 crossover happened with Zidane and Kuja, and how much better those weapons were than any other weapon in the game. Half anniversary weapons were the same, with 900% C ability damage and all allies abilities, but now many of those limited DPS weapons feel on the same level as other weapons freely available in the game, and it's getting harder to justify the exclusivity. At least that's my opinion, but I would also love to hear what you think about this banner. But yeah, it's a good banner. If you like Yuffie, it'll be a great weapon to expand her kit, because until now she didn't have water. And since it's an exclusive banner, she won't get any other weapon anytime soon. But other than that, Glenn still seems to be valid. Nothing has changed for Angeal either. I won't mention Cloud's Maritime, because that thing was power crept a year ago already. But yeah, that would be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.